the video, as you guys have seen, is titled "Money Mindset Could Sabotage Your Forex Trading Success." Mandy is keen on that, and I was just watching a past video today of like money mindset, how this is helpful, and really the impact, like the thing people get when they try to master their money mindset. And I think there's a big difference in pretty much everything you do in anything in life when you master the mindset and when you have the wrong mindset. Like you clearly see a big difference, and that works for trading, that works for relationship, that works for business, for pretty much anything. So Mandy, let me ask you like kind of an overview. What are we talking about when we talk about money mindset? What's the principle behind money mindset?
So there's a difference between money mindset and trading mindset. The trading mindset is more around your self-image, your self-worth, your behavioral patterns, you learning to manage your impulsive behavior, learning to become disciplined and patient. The money, even though we both know that discipline and patience is just a result of something deeper lying, a deeper lying issue. But so money mindset is all our stuff, which is a technical term, around money. Most of us grew up with having some sort of negative experience with money. And based on that experience, we make decisions about money, about us and money, about the world and money. So, you know, if you see someone driving past in a really nice car and you silently think to yourself, must be his daddy's car or drug dealer, or, you know, some sort of an emotion and thought that is connected to money, that shows that you have a relationship with money that is going to interfere with your ability to keep your profits. So what is your relationship with money? Do you love to be around money? When you get your money in, be it a pay or if you're self-employed, whichever way, maybe you're trading profits, do you prefer to pay your bills straight away, get rid of the money, go shopping straight away? Or do you hoard it in a bank account? So all these behavioral patterns around your money give us an insight into what is interfering with your ability to make your profits and keep your profits.
Awesome, awesome. So we have Anna Audrey watching. Welcome, Anna. And I guess this is something like subconscious. It's not something that we are aware of necessarily all the time. So how do we identify what kind of mindset we have around money? Are there like some exercise we can do or some things we can work on at the beginning?
So when we start off with our training, we do an extensive analysis of your what we call psychometric testing of your behavioral patterns, and part of that is also how you behave around money. So we can do it on two levels, right? So one level is we ask you questions and you answer the questions on how you naturally behave around money. And also your experience with money, the major events in your life around money. Maybe I was working with a trader last week who they were extremely wealthy when he grew up, and then when he was about 5 or 6 years old, his parents separated. His father lost everything, and they were, you know, extremely poor then. So the other side, that had a massive impact on his relationship with money. Right, there was so much fear and mistrust. Now, so we ask you questions, you answer the questions that is designed to your personal experiences. And then we also give you patterns from people's research where you can have a money personality, and which personality do you see yourself fitting in. And this helps us to really get a nice blueprint of what is going on for you around money and how that plays out in your trading, which is most important. Then we can see how this plays out as a self-sabotaging pattern in your trading, meaning you make your profits, you give them straight back. Yeah, that's what's happening for most people, most traders.
Awesome, awesome. And we already have questions, which we'll cover pretty soon. Anna has a question. We'll cover that pretty soon. Welcome, Terry. What's up? Now, I guess, could you, so I'm sure, Mandy, you have a lot of people that you've coached. And could you tell us a story of like someone who you started to work with that didn't have the right money belief at the beginning? So how did that start? And like what situation would that person before? And how did it improve over time? Because I'm curious to know like what's the process and what people go through.
Yeah, so, oh my God, let me think. Whom was I working with? around money specifically. So yeah, so let's take this trader I was working with last week, who was extremely wealthy, and then didn't, and then his family ended up being quite challenged around money. So every time he was the typical makes big profits, so he knows how to trade, really good trader, 75% profit loss ratio around this mark. When he analyzes the charts, he knows his stuff. And yet at the end of the month, he would always end up in the red. So that showed me that it wasn't so much his skill, it was really his mindset that was interfering. And what money was for him, money was pain. So what he did is, every time he had money, it was unconsciously pain that he would invite into his life. And he didn't want to be around this painful around this painful experience. So instead of getting rid of the pain, he would get rid of the money. And what we needed to do is something that's called a deep state repatterning, which is a process that I do from neurolinguistic programming, and that I took and applied it into the context of the trader. And we revisited that pain and let it go and dissolved it. So now when he thinks about money, there is no emotional connection anymore. It's just money. It's just an object, like, my mouse, nothing else. And before, when he was thinking about money, there was a lot of fear around just thinking of money, and never enough. And every morning he would wake up with this underlying fear of, oh my God, am I able to pay my rent, or am I able to survive financially? So once this connection between money and pain was dissolved, that problem was dissolved. Did that explain? Did that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's pretty fascinating. Just the fact that
Yeah.
money is such a big issue, and that people, and it's like, it's not like anything. It's people have different opinions, different belief about money, which is interesting. We have AntiViGames joining us. Welcome. What's up? I kind of want to jump into a question that we have right now in the chat, and we'll talk about money after that, money belief and money mindset. If you guys have any other questions, just comment in the chat. And we'll make sure to ask to cover those for sure. Anna is asking, can you talk about how to set a routine for newbies? I'm sure this is going to be really interesting because we are both traders. We both, well, you, Mandi, day trade, I swing trades, which means we're going to have different routines. So some things you might do every single day, some things I might do every week. Can you maybe, Mandi, guide us through your routines on a daily basis?
Well, I've been trading for 15, 16 years, my routines might be a bit different to what a newbie needs. Because we want to keep it concise today, I talk about the routine for newbies, and I will talk about my own routine in our training. Is that okay?
Sure.
So when we look at, I've been working with, I don't know, thousands of traders now in the last 10 years. And what I've found is, what is the difference between traders who are successful and traders who are not successful as yet? And then I realized, in order for the trader who is not successful as yet to become successful, they need to implement certain, they need to cover certain areas of learning how to trade. And this is how I developed the 3 pillars of trading success. So the first pillar is obviously your trading mindset, then your money mindset, which the money mindset includes working on your emotional blockages around money. And also, when you have emotional blockages around money, you don't want to deal with money. So that most probably is a sign that you have not enough financial literacy and numeracy, because you were avoiding that, right? You didn't want to hear anything around money. And then also, how our mind naturally is wired in making financial decisions. So that's behavioral finance. And so the third pillar is the performance metrics, keeping performance metrics. So as a newbie, you want to work on all 3 areas. You want to work on actually 4 areas, right? You want to work on your trading strategy, which should be maybe 50% of your time spent. So every day I would suggest that you learn something new. Every day you go and study something else, in terms of improving your trading skill set. then every day you spend 20% of your time on doing personal development in terms of what is your self-worth, your belief about yourself, how you see yourself, how you think you can succeed in any area of your life. 20% on your money mindset, which is 10% your emotional blockages and 10% on learning financial literacy and numeracy. And then you need to do your performance statistics. And you and I, we are like performance statistic monsters. We love our statistics, right? So that's the routine that I would put into place.
Right. I like it. I like how the three, like everything I do on a daily basis fits with the 3 pillars Mandy talks about, and even the 4 pillars, which is really powerful. So when we talk about, and she explained it correctly, but let me just expand on that. When we talk about mindset, right, or when we talk about trading, well, money mindset and trading mindset, well, it's really like developing yourself. So having good content, reading books, maybe visualizing if you want to visualize, meditation, all these things improve the mindset. And then when it comes to the stats, you try to do a review every week, and you ensure that you review everything. Maybe you review every day if you're day trading. That's possible. I do it every week and kind of every quarter for a bigger review. But those are things that really help. And looking at your numbers, like you don't have to do it every day. Like that's not the point, because you should not be attached to like the PNL anyway. But you need to have these routines. So I did a post like a few months ago, and that's probably a year ago, about the 7-hour Forex trader. This is like a basic time management principle that you spend 7 hours trading per week. So you would have probably like 7 hours, yeah, per week. So you would have probably like a few hours, or 20 minutes, 30 minutes per day if you swing trade to look at your chart. And then you need to have some backtesting, some reviews, and all these things that you implement with those. So I think it's important to have a mix of like growth, because you want to go forward, you don't want to go backward. So you have these things like backtesting, like reviewing your trades, like improving in some ways, and reading books, like taking advice, listening to podcasts, watching videos. But you also want to have something for your own time right now, which is trading, looking at the chart, like a review in the morning. Those things really help. And I'm curious to know with that one. We have a couple people watching. So Shark Up, welcome. Kolyo, welcome. Cool. Well, we just have Terry. That's cool. I start my day with the mindset not to lose money rather than make money. That's cool. I'm not giving it back. Awesome. So I'm curious to know, Mandy, how do you what is your routine to look at the chart in the morning? You just like wake up and rush to your computer and trade? Or do you have some habits that kind of keep you I don't know how to say, but keep you in shape and ready to look at the market as is and not place random trades?
So for me, it might be, again, a bit different because I live in Australia, right? And I trade mostly the DAX, and Forex, I do more swing trading. And Forex, I don't work on my own. I follow a guy that we are going to invite onto our training as well, who's going to do a guest appearance. He's an ex-Goldman Sachs guy, amazing guy. So he will be teaching some pretty cool stuff to our training during our training. So what I do in the morning is I wake up and the first thing I'm on my phone checking the markets. What happened when I woke up? The Dow Jones, so the American market closes at 7 a.m. in the morning here at the moment because of daylight savings. And so once I know where we're at, then, I do my own thing, have my coffee, do my yoga, go for a walk, depending on, what weather it is, if it is winter or summer. But I do some activity to get my blood, running. I live close by the beach, so most of the time I try to get down to the beach, go for a run or something, just to get oxygen. And anyone who knows Tony Robbins's breath, I think it's the Hawaiian kahuna breath, where you breathe in 4, you hold your breath for 8, and then you breathe out for 12. I do that down by the beach as well. So oxygen is so important for our performance. And then I get to my computer. Because I day trade, it's not so important for me to know what is going on in terms of the big picture. Even if we are bullish on the day, I might take shorts as reversal patterns. So I really look at my daily 4-hour, hourly, 30, 15-minute, 5-minute, and 1-minute chart and get a feel for the market. I look at my charts not so much in terms of getting an insight on what's going on. Again, as a day trader, it's not that important, but to get the feeling for the chart. Now, the DAX opens only at 5 o'clock in the afternoon here, so I have plenty of time to get ready for the DAX. But I read Tony's morning reports as well. He sends out a report every morning, asks questions, and so I can position myself for my Forex trades. I run 2 different accounts. I have one trading account for Forex and one trading account for the DAX. So yeah, what I mostly do as well is I keep checking in with myself how I feel emotionally. I was posting on Twitter last week that I felt off, so I had a few profits. I felt out of balance. I went out, got myself back into balance, and did one last epic trade and then called it a day. So it's not only the preparation, the morning routine, it's also checking in with you whilst you're in the trade all the time. What's your emotional guidance system telling you? Are you clear and focused, or are you starting to get exhausted, tired, lose concentration, got Superman syndrome, superhero syndrome? Yeah, all of this needs to be done during the trade.
Yeah, I love this. It just made me think about past interview I did like 2 days ago or something, and I don't want to reveal too much because it's gonna be released soon. But the principle was to identify basically how you feel in your journal before every trade. So whenever you take a trade, try to spot how you feel before that trade, because so often we like start the day and then we feel good, we feel proud, we feel ready, but then as the day go on, especially if you day trade, you kind of like it kind of goes down, and if you don't think about that, you might like fall and you don't realize, then take a bad trade, then you feel bad and you take more bad trades, and then like the cycle keeps going. So that might be a
Yeah.
problem.
I
And we
was
have some
working
question
with
about, yeah, go ahead, sorry.
just one more. I was working with a trader yesterday, Etienne, who said, "Oh man, you know, I was doing really well last 3 weeks, and yesterday I started." So it was on Friday when he said yesterday. I started getting fearful getting into a trade. There was this epic setup on the Dow, and I didn't take it because I was afraid. And then I said, "It's okay, because that was feedback for you, and I'm so proud of you that you still didn't get in, even though it was an epic trade, because you would have stuffed it up anyway because you were out of balance." So what you need to look at is not how you could have overcome your fear and gotten into the trade. What you need to look at is what caused that fear, and how do you get yourself into balance first before you get into that trade. For me, it's a split-second thing. I feel I'm off, and I know exactly what to do to get back into balance so I can continue trading. It's just practice.
Yeah, powerful. We have some amazing conversation here happening in the chat. That's awesome. We could look at that all day. It's pretty cool. We have Sharkup talking about Wim Hof breathing methods, which are really powerful.
Yes. Amazing
I'm not
guy, huh?
really aware
Thank
with
you.
Wim Hof, not super like into Wim Hof, but doesn't matter. I think
He
it's
was in
similar. So
Australia. Yeah.
cool. We have Terry saying this is so true. Awesome. And yeah, I think it makes sense. Yeah, we we see this all the time. So for sure. Uh, Kolyo is saying, how do you deal with taking profit way too prematurely and keeping losses way too much? There's a part about mechanical and versus discretionary, which we'll talk about after. But I'm curious to know, because Mandi, you talk a lot about this topic, and I've heard you talk about it before, which is really interesting. The fact that if we take profit too early, or if we like stay in a losing trade too long, it's not because of the fact that it's not just that. Like we're gonna just solve that. It's kind of a symptom for something else. So can you maybe expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, so what is it that makes you take profits too early? So the behavior is the symptom, right? So what's causing that behavior underneath? And because I don't know you, I would then look at what I call a contrast analysis. Where else in your life do you do that? What is your fear? Why do you take your profits too early? And most traders, they say, well, because I'm afraid I'm going to lose it all again. Well, that shows me that you don't know your statistics, because if you knew your statistics, even if you were to lose the profits, it wouldn't matter, because you know that based on your statistics, the trade, you will at the end of the month end up in profit. You don't need to worry about this one trade. Also, okay, if you go back to trading mindset, that could be scarcity thinking. Where else is that scarcity thinking? Where do you feel that so what is that scarcity thinking a symptom of. It's trust issues. You don't trust yourself. You don't trust other people. Where do these trust issues come from? And now we can start working on what does it take so you can learn to trust yourself. And when you trust yourself, then you will start doing your performance analysis, because you stop focusing on what we call a safe problem. You stop focusing on why do I keep doing that stupid thing, and you start focusing on what are my statistics telling me, what are my my weaknesses, my gaps that I need to fill. And so now you start developing trust in yourself. You start changing your behavior, and you are able to endure your taking your profits too early. Now, I also want to know, how do you know you take your profits too early? Just because you got out and the trade continued doesn't mean that you took it too early. Do you have a solid exit strategy? Yeah, so there's so many varieties and angles that we can look at, and this is why the group coaching is so powerful, because then I can ask you the questions directly. You can give me feedback directly, and we know what the gap is. Right now, I can just hypothesize. So.
Yeah, I think that's powerful. And I don't know exactly about you, Kolyo, but one of the thing, I think 95% of people I talk to who don't feel comfortable taking profit, like at their point of taking profit, or taking profit too early, or keeping losses, it's because they don't know their stats. Like that's the main solution. That's the main problem, the main issue here. If you didn't test your stat, how do you how can you possibly feel comfortable trading with no stats? Like that's sometimes the problem. That's what I see most of the time. Of course, like there's other things, and Sharkov is mentioning imposter syndrome. I don't know in which context. Maybe I'll ask Mandy. Have you ever seen traders who have this imposter syndrome in the past and who have trouble maybe if you see some success with trading and then you go back? I don't know exactly. Have you seen that, or have you seen that in the past?
Yeah. The imposter syndrome is a really, really big problem for people, not just for traders, where the majority of people walk the planet being afraid to be found out. And that usually comes from childhood. I did a lot of work around family dynamics, because I believe that is where the answer to being a successful trader lies. Now, I do all the groundwork, so I don't need to bother my traders with needing to look into family dynamics. So I just know for myself what is going on, and then I can do the transformational work with my client. So when someone works on with an imposter syndrome, it's usually because as a child they got shamed. Something happened where the parent told them that they're absolutely useless, or the parent felt embarrassed for the child, and the child then took that on for themselves. It's such a deep-seated feeling that as adults we can't remember what it is. We just walk around with this subliminal feeling of being an imposter and afraid to be found out. So we shut off from people. We can't really be closely connected. We shut down our emotions. We become very, very thinking related, right? So, and no matter, like, it's really interesting. I worked with a guy, a super successful institutional trader, makes millions of dollars a month. So I said to him, how did you become so successful? And he said, I'm not successful. And I thought, dude, you just paid $10 million, but I didn't say anything, because in his model of the world, he's not successful. He has this imposter syndrome feeling. Yeah, so we need to respect that, and then look at what is it that causes him to have this really deformed self-image. I hope that answered the question. It's really deep. So
yeah, but I think like you never feel like you're successful. I think it never happens, or pretty much never happens. At least for me, it doesn't happen that much. But yeah, doesn't matter. I think it's part of it, because it helps you to keep moving forward. Also, I think it's a good point. But yeah.
Well, there's a difference again between knowing that you're successful where you're at right now, and there is so much more for you to get.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
I think that's a good point. AntiViGames saying I use a breathing method to get to sleep. Yeah, that works too. Yeah, that's good too, because you need sleep to trade anyway. That's a good point. Let's see. We have a question from let's see. We have a question from Timur that I saw a while back. Let's see. While trading a small account, what should be my goal? A, grow my account by compounding, or B, focus on the trading method and look for investors. Then, in my opinion, I would say like what matters is not the outcome you get. It's never going to be the outcome anyway. It's always going to be the process, because like once you can replicate the process with anything, like what your trading method, you're able to get much more results, and you're able to like as you said, get investors, talk to other people, and increase the trading and all these different things. But if you don't master the process, and I've seen this like 2 days ago on my Facebook group. Actually, I did a video about that today. But the point is that person was super happy because it turned an account of $50 into $175 or something, so something similar. But the point is like, yes, like you have a good outcome, but are you really focusing on the process? Will you be able to replicate, and will you be able to like do that full time and make money, make a living from that later on? The answer is no, because like you didn't respect the rules and the basics of money management, your methodology, and everything. So for me, the process will always be better than the outcome, no matter what happens. And same thing when you trade. Like when you review, you don't look at your P&L. And maybe Mandy can talk about a little bit like what stats we can look at. I know you like stats. I like stats too. But what are some things we have to look at when we trade, like on our performance?
Well, again, so most traders that come to me and they say, I have this problem, I'm not disciplined, I'm not patient, and yep, that's just the outcome. So let's look at what your gaps are, and the gaps are really shown in your statistics. Now, if I have a trader who has a bigger losing, so that the biggest loss is bigger than the biggest profit, and it's not just an outlier, it's like it's happened a few times, then I know they have problems in taking their losses. And then we need to look at what is it that causes them to not take their losses, so that their losses blow out. If we look at the timing, so does your trade go off-site immediately, or does it go on-site immediately? Meaning, when you get into a trade, are you pretty quick in profit, or are you in a loss first before it goes into profit? How many times does that happen? If that happens a lot of times, that it goes off-site first, then your timing is out. Then we need to look at your timing. You need to improve on your timing. So you can see that, I could go on and on and on about statistics like for hours. And what it tells us, it's so fascinating. And I was working with a trader for 8 years. He was trying to figure out what was wrong with him. And I looked at his statistics and I thought, oh, this is really odd, because his profit loss ratio was, I think, 70%. So statistically speaking, he should be profitable. His biggest loser was smaller than his biggest winner. Fine, right? So I was like, what's going on with this guy? And then I realized that he was changing his account, his trade size all the time, and that was skewing the performance statistics. So he was performing really well up to 1.5 lots, and anything above 1.5 lots, he would have losses. And you know that the bigger our lot size gets, the quicker we get losses. So because he was doing well on his smaller trades, it didn't show in his statistics that he was blowing out on his bigger trades. So I had to go into detail. And the answer was simple: don't trade more than 1.5 lots, because that's where your psychology shifts and you go into scarcity and fear and you start doing stupid things. It clearly showed it. 8 years. And it took me half an hour looking at his statistics to solve this problem for him. And he's a happy boy now. That's the power. Nothing wrong with this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even myself, I've seen that when I was trading, first of all, my own account personally for a while. And then I got this money from someone else to trade. And then like the first time you kind of triple or quadruple your position size, it's kind of scary. So you don't do that. You go incrementally. You go like you just trade a little bit while you trade the same amount, and then you wait until you get the result. And you need not only to feel comfortable, because it's easy to say, well, okay, I feel comfortable. Let me increase the position size. Let me trade more. But are you ready to trade more? And that's a question. So it took me like maybe 4 months to be able to increase the position size to like a proper 1 or 2% on that account. But I think it's part of the process anyway, and that's really important to understand also.
Yeah. There's so much to be said about it, right?
Of course. It's crazy. It's a crazy topic. Yeah. We have a good question here, Anna. How do you measure performance? Well, your performance, and you keep a journal. Of course. And of course, I have a journal on my computer that basically I split in 5 parts. So first part is going to be good winning trade, good losing trade, bad winning trade, bad losing trade, and then missed trades. So I try to keep track of the trades I miss, the bad trades I take, the good trades I take, to ensure that I take better trade over time, right? Because I want to focus on the good ones, and the good might be winning or losing, doesn't matter, because you're gonna have losing trades and winning trade all the time. But you need, unless you split and you understand like the type of trade you take, you cannot really improve. So that's really really important. So that's how I do it. And there's like plenty of ways. I think Mandi, you had a couple of questions of journal you sent me at some point after the podcast. Can you talk about maybe your
Yeah.
trading journal a little bit and what you do on a daily
Yeah.
basis?
So I have two accounts. I have a MT4 account that is linked up to FX Books, and my FX Books gives me all the data that I need, even the best hour of my performance. So I know which months I perform well, which hour I perform well, which instrument I perform best in. And this is how I found that which Forex pairs work best for me. Like Monday, do not touch gold. Do not touch gold. I see it black and white on my statistics, right? No matter how good gold is, don't touch it. So that's one thing I do. And so with my other account, I need to use my spreadsheet because I can't hook it onto any platform. And so I have a really detailed Excel spreadsheet that I put my data in. And also that has, you know, my equity curve, all the statistics that I need are on that as well. Now, I also do, before I start trading, as I said before, I check in with myself. How do I feel? Am I feeling off? And on Thursday, I was like, oh man, I feel off. I don't know what's going on. And I just had this feeling because I do a lot of mindfulness and a lot of self-awareness. I know something was off, but you know, I still was on the market and it was a really bad losing day. And it's like, you know, not to trade when you're feeling off. And then overnight, I was looking at what was going on for me, and then I realized what was going on for me. I could clear that up. And then the next day, I made it all back and even more. Yeah. So this is the power of going through questions every day and asking yourself those questions that you need to ask yourself. Like, how do I feel? So just a simple thing, stand on one leg. If you're wobbly, really wobbly, then you might be off. If you're kind of stable, then you might not be. You might be, you know, focused in a good position. So these are things that I do. Or when I feel stiff, you know I need to do yoga, because if I feel stiff in my body, I will not be flexible in my mind. And I can tell you, trading the DAX on intraday, you need to be nimble. Yeah. So again, there's so much more to be said about it.
Yeah, love it, love it. And Terry is saying he's keeping a day planner for all his trades for like every day. Like it, Terry, you should check back in 2 weeks. There's gonna be an episode with I should not say the name. I should not say the name, but you check back in 2 weeks. It's all about like pen and paper, how this is powerful for trading and how someone used it. So you'll see, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
For sure, love it. I also like pen and paper, but I feel for trades sometimes it's easier to have screenshots on your computer or videos if you want. So yeah.
You know, Etienne, it's really interesting that you say that it's a generational thing as well. So what they found out is that if we write something with handwriting, the information is processed differently in your brain. But I think because the younger generation has grown up with computers and not with handwriting, they would not process the information the same as me, who grew up with handwriting. You know, I'm so old. Like when I started trading, I had to call up my broker on the phone. You know, there was no such thing as trading on the net. And so this also needs to be considered, that maybe different generations have different way of processing information. So, and also, you know, if someone is visual, extremely visual, they need screenshots. I'm so super visual, it's not funny. But a friend of mine, an amazing trader, he is a statistics guy. He's not visual at all. I show him a chart and he's like, what's that? He can't read it for his life. So he needs to have statistics to look at and not screenshots. So we also need to make sure that we look at how we personally process information best. Are we auditory, visual, or kinesthetic? And then do our journaling accordingly.
Yeah, I think that's the key. Yeah, and I realize myself I'm also visual, so that's why I need my screenshot.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't really like spreadsheet, because for me it's like too much like at the same place and
Yeah,
confusing. So yeah,
exactly.
that's very, very simple. But I'm also in the gap of like between the older people, I think, and the younger people. So I like to have a journal, a paper journal. I use it for some things, and then it's like computer for other things, which is interesting too. Yeah.
Fantastic.
And we have, yeah, Terry says is older, so that's why. Possibly. Yeah, possible.
You're with
Awesome.
me, Terry.
Yeah. Evernote is a great tool. Yeah. Yeah. This is the day trader says Evernote is a great tool. Yeah. Evernote. Yeah. I use that. The first journal I had was on Evernote. It's good for like put your graph and everything. It's like just a Word document online basically or similar. But yeah, you don't have any statistics, which is harder sometimes. So you have to compute the stats yourself. And that's why just linking your account to my Fixbook can be like useful. I don't look at it often. I have mine just set up for my own pleasure, and I go back like every quarter to look at it. But the rest, yeah, it's good for statistics. Do you listen to the? Oh, that's a good question. Shark Up says, "Do you listen to the central bank speeches?" I don't. Maybe Mandy, you want to answer?
Um, ah, um, no, I'm really lucky because I work with quite a few hedge funds and institutional guys, and also I'm in a group where they're all hanging out. So I don't listen to the speeches myself. I listen to what the guys say, how they interpret it. So um, I have to say that's more fundamental analysis, and Fundo is not my strength. Most of the bigger traders, the institutional traders, they know exactly what it means. So I have no interest. That's actually the main reason. I love my charts. I love looking at charts. I can't be stuffed listening to speeches because I don't know what it means, right? I can't relate to it. But I know people who can relate to it. And so it shows that it's so important to have a great team around you who supplement your weaknesses or, you know, the areas that you don't want to spend time on. And you just help each other out with that team. So Etienne, you're amazing with technology, and I'm like totally useless. So, you know, I love that because it makes my life so much easier. And I have really good strengths in other areas that are useful for you because they're not your strengths. So how good is life when you can work as a team like that?
Yeah, yeah. And it's funny, I know this other trader also kind of institutional or past institutional, and he knows exactly like what word they use at what speech in the past, and so it's pretty interesting, pretty crazy. But yeah, for me,
Yeah,
no,
right?
I don't. Yeah,
Yeah.
no. AntiViGame, awesome. That's a good quote. He says, "I've heard this quote. Tell me and I'll forget. Teach me and I remember. Involve me and I'll learn." What an awesome word.
Yeah.
I love it.
That,
Awesome.
that is awesome. And this is exactly why we said we are doing the teaching knowledge in one session and then the implementation in the next session.
Yeah.
Because
Speak,
so many traders, right? Yeah.
Now,
You
speaking
go.
of which, guys, we're going to organize a program over the next 12 weeks, Mandi and I, about psychology and about other stuff. So if you want to go deeper, we'll have the link down below. It's all going to be like, I wrote a big post, took me like a whole day to write that down below about the whole program and what it's like, what it covers and all the lessons and what you'll get. So if you're interested in that, just check out the link on the blog and you see all the details there. This is exactly what, and I like this course comes in at this time.
Mm.
We're gonna do is we're gonna do a lesson at 1 week, like week 1, lesson 1, and then the next week is gonna be a coaching session. So instead of having just teaching and like most courses you see, it's like come here, we'll teach you something, and then go back, like forget. So the point is we'll teach you first, and then you apply, and then we come back next week to a group coaching session, so that we have a chance to talk, to interact. And this is going to be for all my academy members at this point. Also, people who sign up, you have access to Mandi and I for this training. It's like 12 weeks, so pretty long. But the reason why we do 12 weeks is that we know like change takes time. You cannot wake up tomorrow morning or next week and be profitable. Or maybe you can, but it's not going to be for a long time. It's going to be like partial profit. But we want to make sure that you guys transform and that you get progress. And that's why we do 12-week. There's going to be 6 modules and with a coaching session every single 2 weeks. Mandy, do you want to add maybe a few words to that? Anything that people have to know before they sign up?
Yeah, the thing is that I see so many traders, they say, I've done it all. I've done the CDs, videos, I'm on webinars, I read up so much on the internet, and nothing changes my performance. And the reason for that is, yes, you have so much knowledge, you could have a PhD in trading, but you have not learned how to apply this one thing in your trading. So it's more powerful if you take one thing and you implement it into your trading, rather than having more and more knowledge that you store and don't know how to implement it. And this is why we designed this very unique way of our training. So first the knowledge and then the implementation. That will be so powerful. I see it with my traders all the time. I just love it, and I'm really looking forward to it. I just see Anna with, could you trade with your smartphone or do you have to stay at home? And the answer is yes, you could trade with your smartphone, of course. But have you ever thought about why professional traders have like 6 monitor setups at least and spend 10 to 12 hours behind the computer? Well, if you want to be professional and successful, you cannot trade on your smartphone. If you want to dabble and clown around, yes, you can. That's the difference. And we have very high standards, Etienne and I, for ourselves. I don't know, Etienne, you spend as much hours like me behind the computer working on our craft, working on our trading. Even after 15 years in the markets, there's always new stuff for me to learn. And you can monitor your positions on your smartphone, but to make a prudent decision in trading, it's dangerous. And that shows us that, yeah, we need to take it a little bit more serious.
Yeah, yeah. I really want to comment on that because this is something that I've tried myself. And actually, because I don't spend a lot of time trading. Maybe I trade 20 minutes a day or something. But I spend a lot of time working on that and improving my craft, as you said, Mandy. And it's
Yeah.
funny because the first day I got in, or not the first day, but when I got in China, my first trip, what I told myself is I said, well, I want to travel and I want to trade. So I might have to trade on my smartphone from now on, like during the day, not like all the time, but when I'm away, when I'm like on a boat or whatever, or somewhere in the city, I want to be able to put my address on my cell phone and trade. And it took me like 2 days to figure out that I couldn't do it. That was too hard. It's just too
Yeah.
messy. And for some methodologies, it works when they're really simple, but for some others, it's really hard. I know one guy who's day trading on his cell phone. It's pretty professional, but he has a really, really simple setup, and it's only like levels. Doesn't look at candlestick, doesn't look at indicators. So for him, that makes sense. He can just place his trades, and he knows like which levels to target and everything. But for most methodologies, it's kind of hard, and I realized that pretty much the hard way. So right now, I try to like sit down, look at the computer, look at my setups and everything from a computer, because I know I get much more clearliness. Like I see things much more clear, and it's just easier to put anyway your position size and everything that way for me.
Yeah. And also, if you have been trading for many years, then like I look at the market every day. I know my charts by heart. You can wake me up at night and ask me, where is the DAX? And I can tell you exactly. I could even draw you, a picture of the DAX because I look at it every day. So then to use your phone is a very different setup than if you learn to trade and you don't know the markets as well as yet. Yeah. So again, it depends on the individual, but yeah.
Yeah, and I like you mentioned this, Mandy. The fact that when you and for me, I try that. Like I do that every single day. So I look at the chart in the morning and I look at all the pairs on a kind of higher level basis. So on the daily chart, and from there, like I know exactly where the pairs are at because they don't move that much on the daily chart. And I look at them every day, so it's kind of a repetition all the time. So the more you do that, the more you know where pairs are, and
Yeah.
that makes it much easier because you know like which pairs where, what place you set up, where you're interested to enter the trade, and it's kind of easy when someone asks you. Yeah, NTV Games saying what's the DAX? I'm pretty sure you can answer, Mindy.
Sorry, what was that?
Where's the DAX right now?
Oh, it's 13,000 and I don't know, 5 or something. Just clowning around in the 30,000 area.
See, perfect.
Mm.
Exactly. Yeah, someone says, Anna, my laptop broke, so I've been trading demo from my mobile. Yeah, it's good for demo. It's good if
Oh,
you want to
cool.
try.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
first maybe 2 weeks of trading, like like 5 years ago were pretty much only smartphone or kind of tablet, but the results were not great. So it's not the
Yeah.
same thing.
And demo is a very different story because you don't have the emotional involvement with your money, you know.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
hard enough to trade. And also, you know, if you trade 10 cents a pip, go for it. But, you know, if you trade like $10 a pip, it's a different story, you know. In
yeah,
no
yeah, yeah.
time,
It's
you've
really
lost $1,000 if you trade on your phone.
exactly.
Mm.
Yeah, two good questions. Well, actually one, but Terry, we forgot the question. I forgot the question earlier. Are you going to trade Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, etc.? For me, no, because I believe in the power of focusing. And I think when everyone is jumping at one place, it's not time to jump at the same place. So I don't know. For me, I prefer to focus and stay focused on what I trade the best, which is Forex. But eventually, I don't know. Like we'll see as time go on. But the thing with Bitcoin is it's really hard to backtest and know like what edge you have, right? So for me, it doesn't make much sense. Mandy, have you thought about trading Bitcoin at some point?
Now, Bitcoin is a totally different kettle of fish. It's like being a marathon runner and then trying to be a cross-country runner. Oh, sorry, being
Yeah.
a sprinter and then trying to be a cross-country runner. So the skill set that we need for crypto, because I've got a few clients who trade in cryptocurrencies, just setting up a wallet is very different to setting up, you know, getting your account with a broker for FX. That's
Mm.
already where it starts. It's so different. With the charts, it's different because we don't have enough data going back. It's, you know, there's new currencies coming out every day, and it takes a lot of focus and energy into analyzing and researching crypto. And for you, just the same for me. Like I found my niche, you know, I'm comfortable. I know what I'm doing. I know my stuff. And that's why would I change? You know, if you remember, what's the guy's name? The motorbike rider. They call him the doctor, the Italian dude. Rossi. Rossi was riding. I don't know. I just make it up because I can't remember. Let's say he was riding a Yamaha and was very, very successful with a Yamaha. And then he's shifted to a Ducati, and he didn't perform in the Ducati the same as on the Yamaha. So he went back to the Yamaha. And so it's the same, you know, when you know that you're performing well and you're winning, don't change bikes.
Mm.
If you are not performing, then change bikes until you have found the bike that works for you really, really well.
Yeah, yeah, but don't change every day, like just because you want to change.
No,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's for a fact. Yeah, yeah. I've seen Terry saying he's watching the well Bitcoin, I guess. Yeah, which is good. Like he can watch, can kind of paper trade if you want, see how it reacts, and over time, if you see that you have an edge in something else like Bitcoin, just go. But you have to understand the principle behind it, and test your stuff first, of course.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Bitcoin is not just Bitcoin. There's so much more around it. So many different
Oh
currencies.
yeah, yeah,
So,
of course.
yeah.
Yeah, Bitcoin is the major one, but you could go much more far. What's
Yeah.
up, Matthew? Cool. And I think you're in Hong Kong. It's pretty cool. NTV game. When I tried the demo, went through. Should see that. Yeah, we talked earlier. I've seen that about Kolyo was mentioning about the fact that I'll just try to find it back. This is gonna take a second. It wasn't yeah, it's about the fact of mechanical versus discretionary trading. Right here, I think. So kind of funny question, but basically the question was, how do you deal with taking profit and putting your stop loss when you're discretionary? And I think most of the people kind of they miss the point with that is the fact that if you're a discretionary trader, it doesn't mean you don't have any plan. It doesn't mean you're just trying stuff out and putting your take profit and stop loss where you feel. You still have to have a methodology and keep it the same all the time. Like that, that's for sure. And Mandy, I'm curious to know, are you discretionary trader or more like a mechanical trader?
I'm just discretionary.
Okay. So
um,
what does that mean in
but
your case? Because I feel like
yeah.
this is a big topic. Like people can have
Mm,
multiple definitions. So what does that mean in your case?
yeah. So if we look at it again from a different viewpoint, what I love doing is behavioral profiling. So you're a very, very different energy to me, Etienne. You're a very different personality to me. And so for you, also seeing how you conduct, your Forex group and so on. You're very structured. I'm not very structured, as you might have noticed.
Mhm.
So naturally for me, trading discretionary works because I have lived my whole life like that. Now, discretionary doesn't mean that I get into the market whenever I feel. It means I have my system and my strategies and my methodology. It's written down. It's in my spreadsheet. It's on my wall. However, I go more with the flow of the market. So I feel the DAX a lot. I'm very kinesthetic. I see a setup. I assess it really, really quickly, and then I trade it. Now, I found I work best in that setup because I look back at my life and what am I naturally good at. And when I grew up, I was a show jumper on a horse, So how does show jumping works? You accelerate to an obstacle, you take you measure, right? How many gallops to the obstacle, then you explode over the obstacle, and then you relax. And scalping is the same. You focus, you measure the distance, you jump into the trade, you take the trade, and you're out. So there is not much time for me to be extremely methodological. You know what I mean? Because it's so fast. The DEX is so fast. But on Forex, when I do swing trading on Forex, I can be methodological because, oh my God, can't get this word out. Because there is more time for me to do that. Yeah, so that's the difference. I have to be discretionary because the DEX is so immensely fast. And now I don't only look at the chart with the DEX, I also feel the energy. So the DEX goes like bang, 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 and then it stops and then it rolls over. And the same, it goes like bang, 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 and it stops and then shoots up. How do you quantify that in a statistical, mathematical way? The bang, 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 right? You can't. But this is my strength, my individual personal strength. So if we were to do behavioral profiling on you, we would know what your strengths are, and which I know you have, and hence you use the markets and the trading strategy and the methodology that suits you. And that's the difference.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's powerful. And we'll talk in the training that we organize in the coming weeks about that topic exactly, how to pick the best style for you and ensuring that you have the right one. Because you could go like and try, there's not 10 maybe, but you try like multiple, and then you pick the one that fits for you. If you pick from the start, you don't lose that much time, right? That is really, really
Yeah.
helpful. So if you can pick the one first and work on it and become the best, and this is like not backed by just opinion, it's backed by research, by stats, that we
Yeah.
know this is the best for you at this point based on what you've told us and everything. So that's much more powerful. And guys, just check out the link below. It doesn't matter to me that you purchase and you get with us on the training or not. Just check it out. And if it's because at least you know what it's about. And we look forward to do that next 12 week. In any case, like whether there's people, we'll do it anyway. If there's no people, we'll do it anyway because we want to record this. We know it's powerful and it's going to be available afterward for people in the academy. But I think it's good to be there live and to have the coaching and everything with it. So you get to move forward much faster by having the feedback.
Yeah. And it's more fun for us too. I
Yeah,
love the
of course.
interaction. You can see how that is so different when someone asks a question. I can then give a targeted answer rather than giving a general, you know, theoretical approach on how to be disciplined in trading.
Yeah, absolutely.
So much more
Yeah,
powerful this way.
love it.
I have to get going soon because the XJO opens soon and I need to just have a look at that too.
Yeah, this is a fact dinner time here also. So, guys, we'll wrap it up. Check out the link below, and we'll talk to you guys soon. If you have any questions, just comment below after the video. If you're watching the replay, comment as well. We'll make sure to answer any comment there is below, and we'll look forward to see you guys pretty soon. Ciao.
Thank you so much for joining us. Bye.